Get out, and then I can at least grab your stuff.
Get out!
Oh god.
Guys,
8 sand. Oh, you're joking.
just spam click, spam click.
Not the right way, not the right way.
No!
Today on MCC Highlights, we're heading deep into the dungeon and getting lost inside MCC's most complicated game, Sands of Time. We'll be breaking down how the game works, as well as all the important things to remember throughout the event. So, whether you're a true Indiana Jones or a beginner in the Sands of Time world, this guide will certainly have something for you. Before we start talking about the big brain strategies that will get your team a first place finish, let's cover some of the key Sands of Time mechanics that everyone should know. First, you'll need to know how to actually win, and that's by getting some shiny coins. As you explore the dungeon, you'll find coins on the floor, which add to your team's total. Most games in MCC have set scoring systems, but in Sands of Time, the number of coins you can earn is based on how many coins you pick up throughout the game. At the end of the game, the number of coins you've collected is your total multiplied score. The other crucial piece of information in Sands of Time is in the name. I mean sand. The blocks of sand that you find throughout the dungeon represent your most important resource, time. At the very center of the dungeon is an hourglass, known as the sand timer, which is constantly ticking down. If time ever runs out, your entire team is locked in, resulting in all of your coins being lost to the Sands of Time.
Horrible Sands of Time.
However, the sand that you find throughout the dungeon can be used to fill up the sand timer to its maximum time of 2 minutes, with each piece of sand being worth another 10 seconds of valuable time. If you ever die in the dungeon, you will get trapped inside of a tomb at spawn. All of the items that you were carrying drop on the ground where you died, as well as 80% of your current coins. The other 20% of your coins are permanently lost, so be careful. One piece of sand has to be spent to release you from your tomb, wasting precious seconds that may be important later. So, if you ever do feel at risk of dying, another useful tool at spawn is the Sphinx. The Sphinx allows you to bank your coins, guaranteeing that your team will receive some coins if people get locked in. However, there's a 20% coin fee to use the Sphinx, so not all of your coins get banked. Finally, when your team is happy with how many coins you have earned, or panic about the amount of time you have left, you can exit the dungeon through the Nether portal. When your team does this, you're taken out to the lobby and patiently wait until all the other teams finish. With all of that key information out of the way, let's take a look at one of the 2 roles in Sands of Time: Explorers. These Tomb Raiders go down the dungeon tunnels with the aim of gathering as many coins as possible. Along the way, you'll encounter many challenges preventing you from gaining that precious gold. First up, we have mobs. These creatures either come from spawners, which will continually spawn mobs, or out of stone statues, from which they'll emerge if you get too close. Take them out systematically, using a sword or an axe, so that you don't have to fight them on the way out of the dungeon. Spawners also drop a small amount of gold when they're mined. If you're ever low on health, remember to drop back and regenerate, or use healing potions to quickly recover some health, or damage the monsters. The other major challenge standing in your way to getting coins is parkour. This can vary from easy fence parkour a few blocks up in the air, to multiple 4-block jumps over lava. An important note: if you fall into lava, you lose all of your coins and items. Though it is technically possible to get your coins back, past attempts have not gone too well. Because of this, before you ever attempt any difficult lava parkour, throw all of your items, including vault keys, rusty keys, and any sand that you have, on the ground before the parkour. If you die, you'll be able to recover these. Always be aware of your skill level, and how many coins you could lose if you fail the parkour. Before we cover one of the most important parts of being an explorer, vaults, let's go through some rapid-fire information. Rusty keys can be found on the ground and are used to open rusty doors, allowing you to explore further into the dungeon. If you ever see cracked bricks in the walls, you can break them to open up secret passages, or get some gold from golden cracked blocks. Target blocks in the ceiling when shot can drop gold, sand, or mobs. Carpets should be placed as you're exploring to help find your way back, as well as placed near the entrance of a tunnel to indicate that you're currently inside it or that it's been fully explored. Finally, always remember to pick up sand to bring back to your sandkeeper. With those facts out of the way, let's get to the final part of exploring: vaults. Hidden deep within the dungeon are 4 colored vaults: blue, red, green, and gold, each of which contain a lot of coins. However, to open these vaults and obtain the treasures within, you must first find them and unlock them with the same colored vault key. As you explore the tunnels, you'll find colored stripes on the walls. These stripes tell you that the tunnel you're currently going down contains that particular color of vault. The blue, red, and gold vaults will always have these tunnel markings, whilst the green vault will always be in a room directly next to spawn. To open these vaults, you must also find the keys. The blue key is always directly under the sand timer, whilst the red key is locked behind a puzzle that must be solved in one of the rooms near spawn. The green key and the gold key are both deep inside a random tunnel, with the gold key having some difficult parkour that you must complete to obtain it. If you ever find the path to the blue or the red vault, most of the time it's worth immediately getting that key from the spawn or the puzzle in the hopes that you can get the vault. If you find the gold key or green key, the same applies to going to immediately find the vault. Vaults can net you plenty of coins, but you know what else is important? Not dying due to running out of time. That's right, it's time to talk about the Sandkeeper. Before we get to that, if you enjoy these types of guides, consider subscribing to the channel for MCC analysis videos, hype trailers, and more. We upload every week with awesome MCC content. With that in mind, let's get back to the Sandkeeper. The Sandkeeper's role is exactly what it sounds like, keeping control of the sand. Like I've said 17 times by now, the explorers will always be funneling sand to the Sandkeeper, so the Sandkeeper will be responsible for filling up the timer. There are a few more duties for the Sandkeeper to do, but keeping the timer full is by all means the most important. If you are the Sandkeeper, always keep an eye on the timer. With that comes the second most important duty, communicating. You are responsible for making sure you're constantly letting the team know how much sand you have.
Sand 90, extra sand 0.
If you need them to come back with sand, you are held fully accountable for screaming at the top of your lungs you are the most important person and your team needs to know that anyway. Even though the main role of a Sandkeeper is to make sure that the hourglass is always full and the team is aware of how much time is left, there are other tasks that the Sandkeeper can do. The first one of these is the central dispensers. Around the middle are many dispensers. When you pull the levers, out of the dispensers can either come mobs or coins. This is an easy way to earn plenty of coins whilst also being able to keep an eye on the timer. When mobs are released from the dispensers, make sure that you take them out instead of leaving them to wander around spawn. Next up are sand sacrifices. For the cheap cost of only 2 sand, you can earn your team some nice shiny coins. Just visit the sides of your local Sands of Time spawn today. And as catchy as that ad may have been, you actually shouldn't get too tempted by these. The trade is sand for more coins, and the #1 rule is once again to have sand. So by getting caught up in the moment with these, you may actually be hurting your team in the long run. So instead, you want to wait towards the end of your team's exploration for these. Once you know your team is ready to bank and you don't really need to add sand anymore, this is a great way to use your remaining blocks and net some coins as you head out. The final thing which Sandkeepers can do is try to complete the puzzles or parkour besides spawn. Both of these reward a reasonable amount of sand if they're completed. However, both of the parkour obstacles are rather difficult, and you're often unable to view the timer whilst completing them. Due to how they can be time consuming, it can be slightly riskier to go for these. Now, the next point I've got to mention is communication. For comms overall, just make sure that you're being clear with your teammate as to what the situation is. It's better for them to know that you're in a bad situation than to not let them know and to die. The final thing to mention is what Sands of Time is really all about. Risk versus reward. Within the game, you're constantly balancing if you should continue exploring. Do you have enough time left to go grab that vault? Should you try that risky lava parkour? Always be aware of the risks involved when you do something in Sands of Time. And whatever you do, never, ever, ever, ever mess with a Ravager.